Now, if you'll excuse me...
Damn it! Wait till I get my ether driver.
Power Rangers? Interesting.
Hello, and welcome to Zero's Maverick Hunting It. I love Power Rangers! Yes, from Mighty Morphin all the way to Super Samurai, I'm a fan of this series. Well, except for a few seasons, but all in all, it's a fantastic superhero franchise that's still growing strong today. In fact, next year in 2013, Power Rangers will be celebrating its 20th anniversary, and as we've seen, they do their anniversaries well. Awesome! Getting better. Oh god, why?! Okay, so not all their attempts have been that good. But I have lots of hope because next year they're going to be adapting Ghost Sager as well as the next season Gokaiger will be the second season of the new series Megaforce. And they have a ton of potential for Power Rangers. And they're even going back to Teenagers with Attitude, which is a step in the right direction. But I'm not here today to talk about Megaforce. I'm here to talk about a Power Rangers video game. Which video game? Well, it was a video game that celebrated the 15th anniversary of Power Rangers, and that is Power Rangers Super Legends. Super Legends is a special game in the franchise because it actually tries to follow the canon of several seasons while adding in time travel to give it something unique that ties these storylines together. Basically, the game offers the opportunity to play through many different Ranger scenarios that are either from episodes or based on the season they're from. I'm gonna be honest, guys, I wasn't expecting much from this, for a few factors. First off, this game only cost me $2. And the only reason I bought it is because I saw the Red Ranger here on the front, the Red Mighty Morphin Ranger, and it said anniversary. That's the only reason I bought it. It also didn't help that Overdrive was the was pointed at the most in here, so I wasn't looking forward to that. But one thing that did make me want to buy it is the fact that it was made by Disney Interactive. Oh wait, Disney Interactive Studios. This is basically a THQ game. Sagozo. If you're wondering why I'm disappointed, well, you probably already know about my Pokemon Team Turbo review. However, that's not all. See, THQ pretty much has licensed every Power Rangers game since Lightspeed Rescue, and we all know how that went. THQ would basically take a Power Rangers season, outsource it to a random developer, and the results usually led to bad or slightly mediocre games. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying every Power Rangers game THQ has done has been terrible. There's just not much to expect. Alright, let's pop this fucker into my PC and play a cheesy, badass superhero game. Wait a minute, this game is running slow and the frame rate is Sagozo. What's going on? Let me check the system requirements. What the fuck? My PC is well over the system requirements, and this game runs like shit! Okay, let's try turning off all my background programs. Ah, foes! It's still laggy as fuck. Okay, now let's update everything. Seriously? Seriously? What kind of bullzooka is this? So yeah, I don't know why, but this game won't run very well on my PC, regardless of me having system requirements that are way above it. So you know what I did? I got another one! Sure, it's the PS2 version, and it cost me 8 times the price, but at least now I can play the game smoothly. There's also a DS version, but I haven't been able to track it down, nor do I have a way to record DS smoothly yet, so it's pretty much out of the question. I just wanted to briefly mention it because it's far different from the PS2 and PC versions, and it was also developed by only 4 guys! So now that I have a way to play the game smoothly, let's play. The game starts by giving a few cutscenes outlining the story, and here's where I give the developers some credit. The story starts with Lord Zed retaining his evil form. You see, after he had been purified at the end of Power Rangers in Space, he became an archaeologist. On one of the archaeological ventures he discovered a time crystal, which as the name suggests, is a crystal that can cross over time. Given this new power, Zed can't resist his past and becomes evil once again. This is actually really interesting. This might better explain where Thrax came from. Think about it. Lord Zed's evil again. He probably could have convinced Rita to become evil again. Or he could have just done it because he's a badass like that. Or let's say they already had a son. He could have turned Thrax evil that way. So that's lots of opportunities. And I know this is just like my own fan theory, and there's nothing official on this, but I think that this sounds a lot better than the explanation they gave in Once a Ranger. So Zed being evil again uses the Time Crystal to travel to many different timelines to destroy the Rangers. The Omega Ranger, seeing this from the Hall of Legends, contacts the other Rangers to help stop Zed since he can't travel to other timelines himself. And here's our first plot hole. Why can't he travel to these other timelines? They don't really explain it all that well. From what I gather, there's some reason like his Ranger energy is bound to the Hall of Legends by a curse or some bullzooka like that, which makes no sense because you play as him in the last level of the game. I also have a theory on this. At the end of SPD, the Nova Ranger comes from the future to help out the other Rangers in the final battle. My guess is that afterwards, when Nova and Omega return to their own time, the commanders of SPD realized how much time had changed due to Omega being there and outlawed time travel since it could alter history and the future itself. Huh. Maybe they should have sent Dano. I guess SPD's low on singularity points? Again, this is just a fan theory, but I have to admit, it makes much more sense than what they came up with. So with all that, we start the game with the current Ranger team at the time, Operation Overdrive. Yay, let's start with the worst Power Ranger season ever. Yay. Well, at least you can play as the Black Overdrive Ranger, the only one I actually liked. Anyways, you make your way through this deserty ruins type level to find Moltor, who has found the treasure that the Rangers were looking for. I should take this time to comment on the voice acting. It's actually pretty good. Yuri Lowenthal does a great job as the Omega Ranger, as well as Stephen Bloom as Lord Zed. There's also Daryl Kurlow as the Black Overdrive Ranger. Wait, so they got a white guy to voice a black guy? Next thing you're gonna tell me is that the Navy Thunder Ranger, whose nationality is Asian, was voiced by
A black man!
Oh, okay, let's just move on. After defeating Moltar, he grows and the Rangers get into their Megazord for the Megazord battle, which really boils down to quick time events in a sort of an RPG style. This isn't the best Megazord sequence I've seen in a game, but it's leagues better than the Megazord battles from the Lightspeed Rescue games. Afterwards, the Rangers find a treasure chest and can't figure out how to open it, so the Black Ranger just fozing smashes the thing with his hammer.
Ah, yes. The tracker. What a pity it's in your father's office. Locked in a foolproof safe. Impossible to crack. Impossible.
Okay, I might hit Operation Overdrive, but I freaking love this guy. The chest reveals a time crystal and the Omega Ranger appears in a time portal, explains himself and what's going on. The Rangers say they want to go get the others, but the Omega Ranger explains that the time crystals can only allow 2 people to time travel at a time, which is the game's way of saying, sorry, we can't include entire Ranger teams. All levels follow some minor storylines that are actually canon, such as Trakina attacking Terra Venture, Chubo looking for the underground ninja base, Goldar dumping toxic waste into Angel Grove's water reservoir, which will result in turning anybody who drinks it into putties, and Ictor attacking SPT headquarters as well as New Tech City. This all leads up to Zed's master plan, where he reveals he used the time crystals to create a Megazord of his own, and he intends to use it to destroy all Power Rangers by beating them before they get their powers. Again, I like this. This is character development for Lord Zed. Remember back to Lord Zed's last sword, Serpentera? Remember how it would basically take a ton of energy to run and would only last for a short amount of time? Remember when it was defeated by the Wild Force Rider? Okay, I guess some things are left forgotten. But still, my point stands. Lord Zed is learning from his past mistakes. He wanted to make a new Zord, so he used the Time Crystal. He probably figured that the Time Crystal will work better if he used machinery to improve the power and use it as a power source. Or he just played Mega Man Legends and thought powering a Megazord with a crystal was cool. But either way, my point still stands. Zed has developed as a villain. He's no longer bothering with small stuff and going right for what he wants. And notice how Rita is nowhere to be seen. He probably figured he'd do much better on his own in getting his plans done. And yeah, while I'll agree I liked Zed better before he married Rita, he actually accomplished more while married to her. So I'm not saying Rita was a terrible villain, I'm saying that she wouldn't fit into these motives. That's a lot of story stuff. Now let's get into the gameplay. First off, the game controls very well. Nothing feels slippery, nothing feels stiff or out of place, it just feels comfortable. Which is good. Square is your basic attack button, and it has a full array of combos you can perform. Triangle is used for many moves, including the flying spinning kick or the ground slam. X is used to jump. What? And circle is used to fire your blaster, and can also be held to unleash a charge blast. As you progress, you also learn how to dash, air dash, and use your special attacks. Oh, you can also look ahead slightly with the right analog stick. Yeah, it's not used very often, but it's a nice feature to have for a platform. Combat works simply. You attack enemies until their health bars run out, and in the end you'll receive some time orbs which act as experience points. While you're in combat, you'll gain energy for your special meter, which when filled can be used to unleash your ranger's special attack. My main problem with the combat is there's barely any recovery time, and it's easy to get knocked down multiple times, especially when you're fighting enemies with guns. Seriously, these enemies can shoot through other enemies just to hit you, and their shots almost always knock you down with one shot. There were many times I died repeatedly because I was surrounded by enemies and kept getting knocked down by the fucking gunners. However, the gunners have one good thing about them. If you combo them near a wall, you can flip them for infinite combo, easily surpassing the combo quota for a stage. The game also features co-op, so you can play the levels with a friend. The gameplay works pretty much the same in co-op, including the amount of enemies and objectives. So levels don't get adjusted, which leads me to believe that the game was originally intended as a co-op experience, much like a beat-em-up or arcade game. I do have to say though, the game is much more fun with a friend, but it can get boring fast, especially in the Lost Galaxy stages. The boss fights aren't much to talk about. They mostly boil down to you getting in a few hits and then they summon some goons for you to fight, and there's usually at least one gunner, which can make the boss battles difficult for the wrong reasons. I do have to say though, the last boss battle with Zed before the Megazord battle is pretty well done. Sure, it follows the same design that the other battles did, but it spices it up with patterns and various special attacks. Throughout each stage, you will have objectives to complete. These involve defeating a certain amount of enemies, collecting 10 of a certain item, collecting the Ranger letters, and meeting a combo goal. As well as these goals, you can also collect time orbs from both combat and around the stage. Like I mentioned earlier, time orbs act as experience points, which are used to upgrade your ranger stats. However, dying knocks a considerable amount off. I once died 3 times against a group of enemies and ended up losing 1,000 points for it. In other words, the combat can fuck up all your hard work sometimes. To sum up the gameplay, it's good and works well, but becomes frustrating quickly. The music is pretty generic, as are the sound effects. Another game with bland music and sound, nothing really to say here. However, like I mentioned before, the voice acting is superb. The best part is that while many of the actors are doing voices that are meant to sound like the original actors from the shows, they actually do a fantastic job at this. The only problem I have being that Yuri Lowenthal didn't do so good as the Red Mighty Morphin Ranger. The graphics aren't too bad. The game keeps consistent with its graphical style both in cutscenes and in-game. The stages are designed well and make good use of the graphics, which is a plus. However, the Rangers look too boxy. I know this is a minor complaint, but look at how the Power Rangers are supposed to look, then look at this game. Now look at another PS2 game that came out much earlier than this, like say Bloody Roar 3, and compare it back. See what I mean? Okay. 2 completely different games in 2 different genres with much different stuff going on at a time. But my point still stands. I should also mention that this game plays at a solid and smooth frame rate, with some slowdown when loading in-game cutscenes in certain areas. In terms of content, this game offers a decent amount. Completing the mission objectives unlock different things such as additional rangers, artwork, music, and videos. This is all well and good, but the one question I'd like to know is, where are half the ranger teams? This game only includes a total of 5 ranger teams based on its story, and these aren't complete teams I might add. Just 2 rangers per team. Operation Overdrive, Lost Galaxy, Ninja Storm, Mighty Morphin, and SPD. Hell, SPD and Ninja Storm don't offer any rangers from the original teams, just additional rangers. Sure, this game does include unlockable rangers, such as rangers from each storyline teams, as well as teams like Zeo, Turbo, InSpace, and Wild Force, but that's still leaving out Lightspeed Rescue and Dino Thunder. And not to mention, they include just 1 Time Force Ranger. How in the hell do you leave out Time Force in a time travel story? I can understand to a certain degree that Time Force's future takes place hundreds of years after SPD's future, but wouldn't you think Time Force would know something about this? They're even more futuristic than SPD, and even if they didn't know anything about this in the Time Force future, Wes is a playable character, so wouldn't he tell the other Time Rangers about it? This makes no sense. Time Force should have been one of the first places we go in the story. But no, we start off with fucking Operation Overdrive in Lost Galaxy. And now, the glitches. I only encountered a few glitches, all of which were in the last level. I've already showed you the combo glitch where you flip gunners on the walls, but there's more. Now I want to get this out of the way here. I didn't encounter these glitches when I first played the game. I only encountered these during my second playthrough, where I sped through the later levels, and believe you me, this game is not recommended to speedrun. The first glitch was when I was air dashing into a mini-boss area just before the final battles with Zed. See, when the game does a cutscene, it loads the data for the cutscene and pans the camera automatically. This can also lead to you getting hit when the character has to stop and the camera has to auto-look. Apparently the enemies don't know the rule of Power Rangers. You can't attack a ranger when they are morphing or formulating a strategy. Oh, fuck off, Digimon movie! Anyways, the glitch messed up the camera pan, and instead of panning into a cutscene, the camera just went to the opposite way and decided to look at the scenery. And cutscenes lock you into place where you can only progress when the screen prompts you to move to the next dialogue segment, but here, there's no dialogue. You're stuck. So I had to reset the game to play through the stage all over again. So I took the opportunity to play through the stage as another ranger, and then proceed to the next glitch. I made it to an earlier mini-boss room in the stage, and then decided, fuck this! I'm getting rid of the first wave of enemies, and use my special attack, wiping them all out. Alright, I'm so ready for the next wave of enemies. Guys? God damn it! The worst part of this is, they add barriers to the side so you can't escape until you defeat all the waves of enemies. So I had to play through the stage again! This time being able to pause the game and restart the level from the menu screen, and I finally made it to Lord Zed. There's actually one more glitch I discovered playing co-op afterwards. Basically what happened is I went into a door while my buddy Corey had died and revived during the transition to the next part of the stage. The screen stayed black and we couldn't do anything. The game was still working because we could hear the stage music and our characters making sounds, we just couldn't see or do anything. Luckily, we were both done playing at this point, so we found it more humorous rather than annoying. All in all, what can I say about Power Rangers Super Legends? Compared to the other THQ games, these are probably the best you're gonna get from THQ Power Rangers games. Again, they're not that great, but they're not that bad either. And I at least had fun playing them. Except for, of course, Lost Galaxy and the last level. It was kind of boring. But in short, these games are good, and I recommend it to any hardcore Power Rangers fan. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got a convention to get to.
Welcome to intermission.